I think a lot of people would have seen over our social, if you've come via us. Obviously, I know you've got quite a big network anyway with Kodiri. So basically, we are essentially we're a recruitment agency first and foremost, but we've got a brand called Orbis Connect, which we try and bring the community together across technology, really, and that's across the whole sort of software development lifecycle, if you like. So we do a lot of these things, not just sort of live events. We do sort of live webinars. Ideally, in a normal world, we would have sort of in-person events, like I know you do, Ricardo. So yeah, I guess we're all adapting to that. But yeah, so that's who we are. I work for Orbis, and I get involved a lot with doing a lot of the hosting, a lot of our events. So yeah, that's us in a snapshot, I guess.
That's great. I don't think we are live yet, Joe, by the way. So brilliant. So okay, sorry about that then. Sorry about that, Joe.
No, you just put me on the spot. No worries.
Cool. Yeah, that's great, Joe. Do you want to add anything else, or do you want me just to crack on, or?
Yeah, no, I'm good. Let's go through it. So how does this work then from start to finish then, Ricardo?
Yeah. So we're gonna play some coding games. So if for anyone is your first time at Kodiri, welcome. So Kodiri is an online platform where everybody can learn, can improve their coding skills. It's completely free. We don't make any profit. We're just trying to help people. We have a special focus on helping unprivileged and underrepresented communities, but anyone from anywhere in the world can actually join. So we've got free apps for Android and iOS. And of course, if you're a developer and you want to support communities, we collaborate with many developers in different countries, creating new games, new challenges. So feel free to let us know if you want to collaborate with us. So today, as I said, we're going to play some coding games. Let me give you an introduction about how Kodiri works. So when you first land into the Kodiri world, you will find out this sort of homepage where you can essentially play games about a given technology. You can see on the left-hand side and difficulty level. So let's imagine that this is our very, 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 very first experience dealing with JavaScript. Today, we're going to talk a lot about JavaScript. So we got JavaScript selected. We got lower beginner, which is the most simplistic difficulty level. And then what we do is we select a topic. Yeah, we got different topics, different games about this technology and difficulty level. So let's play one of them just to warm up a bit before we face more complex challenges. So I'm going to select the first one, strings. And so once you select it, what you're going to get is just 5 questions about that particular topic, string, which is about building messages. Hello, welcome, how are you? It's about dealing with text. So again, 5 questions because this is so simplistic, we don't even need to do any coding. So this is kind of a quiz game where we present you a problem and we have to fill the gaps. So on this very first question, the problem is we have to create a function called getWelcomeMessage. So whenever we call the function, we should display the message, welcome to JavaScript. Yeah. On the right-hand side of the screen, we can say that the algorithm has been partially written, but as I said, there are some holes, there are some gaps that we have to fill. So I got a question for Joe.
I knew you was going to say that.
You saw that coming, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
All right. So Joe, what is your money here? What's your choice?
It's got to be A for me.
It could be A, right? So they look quite similar, but obviously there is a subtle difference, right? In option A, there is an exclamation mark. It's not there in option B. So I agree with you. I think option A is the right one. However, just for testing purposes, let's see what happens if we pick the wrong one. So if I select JavaScript, you see on the left-hand side, the code becomes red. It's a way to tell you, that's not fully correct. Try again, right? So let's select option A, and then we get confetti time, which is the friendly way to let you know that you are absolutely right. and that means that we can submit this exercise and move to the next one. So let's do one more, and then we can start with a serious game. So I got a question for Elena. In this particular case, you see we got a function get welcome message. Every time we call the function, we can pass a different username, Peter, Marta, Andrew, whatever. So on the right-hand side, we just have to fill the gaps. Interestingly enough, these options are quite similar, right? Any thoughts about what's going to be the right one?
The B, because it's spelled in camel case.
That's right. That's right. So in JavaScript, as many other languages, case matters, right? JavaScript is case sensitive. So we need to be careful with that. If we pay attention, line number 2, we are referring to the variable as user and not the big M, the capital M. So for consistency reasons, we should keep that coding style, All right, so I'm going to submit it, and I will skip the next questions to have a look to what happens at the end. So at the end of this exercise, you are going to get a score. So this score, which is a number between 0 and 100, tells you how good or how bad your performance was across this list of questions. So what are we evaluating here? We are measuring different metrics, like, for instance, tenacity. That's how many questions you completed, 1 to 5 or 0 to 5. Accuracy, how many times you submit your question and you fail. I think we failed once on the first question on purpose. Speed, how long it took you to complete the test or the game. Focus, how many times you went to Google or to Stack Overflow to get help, which is something that we should try to avoid as much as possible. And last but not least, elegance, how standard your code is. So yeah, you get a score, and of course, then you can go back to the dashboard and pick a new challenge and keep building your technical skills. Today, I would like to run a related activity. So on the left menu, you'll find out something called challenges. So a challenge means you will have to deal with 5 questions, and then everyone else will have the same questions. So everyone else will have to deal with the same kind of questions. Why? Because at the end of this exercise, we will compare everybody's performance. So we got different games active. So first of all, on the JavaScript track, we got lower beginner, which is pretty much what we've seen today. Quiz games, pick right option, A, B, C, or D. Upper beginner, that's a bit more complicated because you need to do a bit of coding. And finally, upper intermediate, which is quite more complex. So if you've never heard about JavaScript, lower beginner is probably your starting point. If you've done a bit of, toy coding in your spare time, probably you can face upper beginner. And if you are a professional JavaScript developer, upper intermediate is for you. If we scroll down, you'll find out that today, by the first time ever, we are dealing with Vue challenges. So Vue is a JavaScript library that is becoming very, very popular in many countries, particularly in Asia. With Vue, we can build user interfaces very quickly. So Vue can be considered as some sort of alternative to React, which I'm sure sounds more familiar for many of you. All right, so today I would like just to play a mix of questions, beginner, intermediate, JavaScript, Vue, some questions in each category with our friends Joe from Orbis Connect and also with Elena. By the way, Elena is looking for new professional opportunities. She's a really good developer. So if anyone is looking for a good developer, you'll see how good she is today. No pressure, Elena.
Thank you.
All right, so let's start with JavaScript upper beginner. So let's see what we got here today. So the only thing you need to do once you choose that particular challenge is you need to select a team. This is completely random. So you know that at Kodiri we like shark movies. So today I have selected 2 of them. So Sharknado. Probably you've watched the other one. And also Shark Exorcist. That's a really, really good one. So in a rainy weekend, this is a good plan. So just feel free to pick your team. At the end of the day, we will compare the results. We will see which team has better scores. Yeah, we'll see that later on. So don't worry much, just pick a random team. And then let's start with the challenge. So question number 1. So get string indexes. So what we got here is on the left-hand side, we got a function called get string indexes that receives an argument, which is a string. And eventually we're expected to return the indexes, right? So for instance, if the string is hello, hello has 5 characters, HELLO. So the indexes are 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? Because in JavaScript, as many other languages, we start counting at 0, right? Humans, we used to start counting at 1, but machines work sometimes a bit different, but that's absolutely fine. In this particular use case scenario, the exercise is a bit opinionated about the technique that we should deal with. It's asking us to use for in, which is a looping structure in JavaScript. So yeah, because that's the first question, I would like to take control, and then obviously in the next ones, I will like to get your thoughts from the beginning, particularly about you, Elena. So first of all, get string indexes. So I'm going to create a variable, let string indexes. Then I'm going to do something. We'll see in a minute what, and eventually, before I forget, I will return it, right? So yes, I'm just preparing the structure of my algorithm. And now, all right, let's use for in. So with for in, what we can do is for let index in, and then the variable name. So that function receives 1 argument. So I don't know, Elena, do you have any particular preferences about the argument name? What do you think?
A string.
String. Can we call it, I don't know, Brexit? What do you think about that?
It's about semantics.
Semantics, correct. Semantics are completely ruined now, right? Because that has nothing to do with Brexit. Obviously, that's a corner case. No one probably will call it Brexit, but we often come across code snippets where people do things like X or Y or I don't know. That's technically speaking correct. However, again, we should remember that we code for humans, right? So in order to facilitate the communication between the different team members, we're talking with a string, so let's call it a string. So for let indexing a string, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add each individual index to the, actually that's an array of indexes. So Elena, any thoughts about how to add each individual index to the array of indexes?
We had to do a string indexes dot
string indexes.
Yeah, dot push.
Correct. What else?
Yeah. Then open parentheses.
Yep.
And then you have to put the index, but because the index is going to be a number, you need to transform it into a string.
Mm-hmm.
So you surround the index by a string.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. Anything else?
Semicolon in the end.
Semicolon. Fair enough. What happened? Will it work without a semicolon?
It will work. I think it's more like to keep it more, to have better code, you should put the semicolon.
Yeah, that's right. So in order to follow some styling standards, I know this is a bit controversial. Some developers say, no, semicolons, all the style, blah, blah, blah. But many coding standards still recommend to keep the semicolons in place, right? So let's stick to the standards, right? Okay. I mean, let's test it and see if it works or not. Oh, brilliant, confetti time. So yeah, that was like a charm. Yeah, I think that's all we need to do. Anything else, Elena or Joe?
I'll let you have this one, Elena.
No, I think it's okay.
Okay, fantastic, fair enough. So yeah, I'm quite happy with that as well. So let's move to the next question. That's a good one. Does the first element of an array include this word? So what we got here is, we got a function called isIncluded that receives a couple of arguments, right? So first of all, it's an array. And then the second argument, it's a string. So we want to check if this string is part of, careful here, careful, the first element of an array. In other words, we want to check if smartly is here. Likewise, we want to check if wind is here. And we want to check if dance is here. Yeah? So in the first use case scenario, the function will return true because smartly is actually here. In the second use case scenario, wind will return false because it's not there. You may argue, yeah, but wind is somewhere else, right? I think I saw it before. Here you go. You got it into the second element of the array. But the exercise, strictly speaking, wants us to check whether the string is part of the first element of the array. So, Elena, do you have any ideas, any thoughts about how to deal with this problem?
We need to pass the arguments array strings, for example.
Array strings, yeah.
And maybe and then comma word.
Word. Fair enough. Yeah.
And then,
all right. And then what?
We need to, because we don't care about the rest of the elements in the array, we should maybe create a variable for the first element. So first string, like let first string equal array strings and open square brackets 0 close square brackets. And
okay. Then what?
I think we should use the includes.
Fair enough. So first string dot includes what?
Word.
Word.
But I think we need to make it an array, maybe.
We need to make it an array.
I'm not sure if
that's interesting. It's actually a really good point, Elena. It's a really good point. So we know that includes works with arrays. So if we got, for instance, A, E, I, O, U dot includes E, that's going to work, right? That's going to return true because that list of vowels includes this one. But now the question is, can we do the same with a string?
I think so. I think we can.
Yes, I agree with you. We can.
Okay.
That's one of the beautiful things about JavaScript. This is because of the way prototypal inheritance works. So includes is a method that was added to the array prototype, but also to the string prototype. And that's great because at the end of the day, we can attack the problem from both points of view. So we can have an array and then check if the array includes a string. But if we already have a string, like that's the case, we don't even need to transform it to anything else, right? So that keeps everything a bit simpler. Okay, so yeah, let's see if it works. Let's test it. Nice. Works like a charm. Brilliant. Nice one, Elena. Any thoughts, Joe?
Looks good, mate. Looks good to me.
Brilliant. Nice one. All right, so we do one more before moving to a more complex challenge.
Yeah, what I was thinking, I might dive out the more complex it's getting and try and go and attack the JavaScript challenge, the basic challenge. So I might just take my video off for now, dive into that, and then see how I get on at the end. Okay,
fantastic. So good luck, Joe.
All right, cool.
You know where we are.
I'll touch back at the end.
Brilliant. Have fun.
See you soon.
See you.
All right. So now, yes, you and me, Elena.
Yeah.
We got question number 3. Find the sexy artist. So we have an array of artists, and then we want to find who is the sexy one. So this exercise is assuming that apparently there is a single sexy artist on each list. Fair enough. So yeah, the exercise is already receiving the argument. So not sure, Elena, if you got any ideas about how to proceed. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I think I will use the find method.
Find, okay.
Find. So return. First
return. Yeah, return what?
Space artist.
Yeah, fair enough.
Dot find. And then open parentheses.
Yep.
Artist. like equal and like the
Arrow function, yeah.
Arrow function, and then artist dot is sexy. So that will give us the object of the artist that is sexy. And then if you add dot name, we can access the name of the match.
Interesting. So you think that artist.find that will return the object matching the condition. The condition is we want to find who is sexy in each list. So this will be the result in the first use case scenario, and that will be the result in the second use case scenario. But because we don't care about the object, but we care just about the name of the artist, we can actually access that properly using the dot notation, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. Let's run it and see if it works. Nice. It works. Any additional thoughts? Any way to change the algorithm a bit?
We could the structure.
The structuring. Okay. Nice. How we do that?
So instead of artist, we will put open parentheses.
Yep.
And inside there, open curly braces.
Fantastic. What else?
And then put is sexy. And then just remove the artist dot.
Right. Nice. I like that. And of course, it works. So what we're doing, as you said, is we are destructuring the artist object, because at the end of the day, we just care about whether it's sexy or not. So that's a probably slightly simpler way of running the condition, right? Cool. Awesome. Anything else, Elena? No? Cool. No. Awesome. Yeah, I'm quite happy about that as well. So do you want to do a bit of intermediate?
Yeah.
Nice. All right, so let's leave it here. And before I spoil any results, sorry about that, guys. Let me go to JavaScript intermediate. And then, so what we got today here? Let me tell you something. I believe that in our last meetup last month, we already deal, out of coincidence, with this question. So I'm going to skip it for now. If we got time, I'll come back and we'll solve it, right? But if you're curious about how to solve this problem, please have a look to our last meetup. You can find it in the Pusher channel on YouTube, or either on the Kodiri channel on YouTube, and you'll get all the details about how to deal with it. Question number 2. Whoa. This is one of the most complicated questions in the entire intermediate program. So that was created by one of our community members who is based in Russia. And it's pretty cool. I really like this question, but it's anything but simple. Anyway, no problem at all, right? Let's try to solve it. So what we got here, we have a function called setRoomColors, and that function has essentially 2 data structures. So first of all, we have some rooms, and we want to paint them. We don't care about whether the bathroom is blue, black, or pink. The only thing we care about is we want to check whether we got enough paint to cover all the rooms that we want to deal with. So the rule here is 1 gallon of paint is enough to color 400 square feet. So let's try to understand the first use case scenario. We have 3 rooms: bathroom, living room, and bedroom. To paint the bathroom, we need, to paint the bathroom is 400 square feet, the living room is 1,000 square feet, and the bedroom is 900 square feet. So do we have any color available to paint 400 square feet? Yes, so we could use green, because with 1 gallon, we cover 400 square feet. What about the living room? Can we paint the living room with gray? Yes, because we've got 3 gallons, right? So we got enough. Can we paint bedroom with blue? Yes. So in other words, we got enough amount of painting to cover the problem. What about the second use case scenario? So here we got the bathroom that measures 500 square feet. So can we paint it in gray color? No, because with 1 gallon we can only complete 400. Can we paint it in blue color? Yes, in blue color we got 4 gallons, that means 1600, so that's enough. But the problem is, if we use blue to paint the bathroom, then what happened with the living room? We cannot paint it, right? Because we cannot mix colors. We cannot paint the living room half blue, half gray. According to this algorithm, we cannot do any of that. So we associate its color to each room, right? So that's why in this use case scenario, it's impossible to actually paint all the rooms, sorry. And what about the last use case scenario? So bathroom, 600 square feet. Do we have any color? For instance, gray. Yes, that will be enough. Living room, 800. Actually, we could use green, but then if we use green, what happened with the bedroom? We cannot paint it either, right? So, yeah, that's a tough problem because we need to find out the. I'm going to propose you something, Elena, and of course, if you got any different approach, more than happy to refactor it afterwards. So my approach is going to be, first of all, I'm going to transform that list of painting into numbers, because at the end of the day, we need math operations, right? So regarding rooms, I'm focusing on the first use case scenario. I got an array of numbers, or I can get easily an array of numbers. Fine. About paints, I would like to get something like that, 3, 4, and 1. And once I have that, I'm gonna sort the arrays. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sort the arrays. I don't care if they are sorted ascendingly or descendingly. So for instance, let's sort the arrays from the smaller to the largest room. And we'll do the same thing with the paint units. So 1, 3, and 4. Why we do that? Because then we can check if every single combination works. So for instance, index 0, with 1 gallon, in reality, we got 400. With 3 gallons, we got 1200. And with 4 gallons, we got 1600, right? If I did the maths correctly. So then we just need to check that every single pair satisfies the problem. So on the first room, which is the bathroom, do we have enough painting? Yes. On the second room, do we have enough painting? Yes. On the third room, do we have enough painting? Yes. So what do you think about the approach, Elena?
Yes. Yeah, that's what I'll do as well.
Okay, fair enough. So let's prepare that. So I'm going to create a variable called, for instance, room sizes. We may change the semantics later on. So can you tell me, Elena, how can we create an array with the room sizes associated to each room?
Yeah. First, we should pass the arguments, no? The room and the paints, and
fair enough.
Can we do it like the structure?
Yeah. So how many arguments do we have here?
We have only one. It's only one object, and then inside that object we have 2 other objects.
Correct. So, rooms and paints, right? Yeah. Paints, not paints. Okay. Yeah, fair enough. And then what?
Then we will use object.values and parentheses rooms.
That's right. So that will hopefully give us the array of room sizes, but without sorting yet. Yeah. So we'll talk about sorting in a minute. And then we need to do something similar for the paints. So the problem with paints is we don't have numbers. So what we got is strings. So can you tell me, Elena, any ideas about how can we extract the numbers 3, 4, and 1 out of that list of strings?
We can use the parse int.
Fair enough. Okay. So yeah, go on, please.
But first we need to make it an array. So we'll do objects.values, parentheses, paints. So now we have an array with the paints, but in a string. And now we can use a map.
Fair enough. So far we got 3 gallons, 4 gallons. Let me just use this shorthand for readability purposes. And then something like that, right?
Yeah.
All right. And then you want to use .map.
Yeah, to get a new array. And then, so for each paint, I will do paint, arrow function, and then parse int, parentheses, paint.
Fair enough. And that will...
Yeah.
Yeah, go on, please.
No, yeah, I was thinking if the semantics were okay. And that should be value.
Yeah, you're right. I agree with you. So that's the how should we call that? Quantity. I don't know, but you're right. I get your point. I agree with you. Maybe that's not the right name, but definitely I think we should differentiate it because we are talking about the amount of paint that we have associated to each color, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that will, if we did the maths correctly, so that should give us an array with 3, 4, and 1, right? Okay, I like that. I like that, Elena. Now let me do something. I'm gonna sort the arrays. So I got 2 arrays, room sizes and paints. Actually, let me rename it to quantities for readability purposes. I'm gonna remove the comments for readability as well. Here you go. So now I would like to sort both arrays. To do that, because I have to repeat the same operation twice, at the end of the day, I had to sort 2 arrays of numbers. Yeah. So I'm going to create a utility function below called sort. And sort will receive an array of numbers. So then it will essentially sort the list of numbers. So you know that in JavaScript, we can use the sort method. We'll receive number A and number B, or number 1 and number 2, doesn't matter. And then we can specify how do we want to sort the array. So for instance, the way it works is that expects a number. If it's a positive number, the array will be sorted descendantly. If it's a negative number, the array will be sorted ascendantly. Yeah? It doesn't really matter, to be honest, if we start from the biggest to the smallest or the other way around. It doesn't really matter, right? We are just trying to associate different indexes. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna, can I zoom it a bit? Does it fit in one line? Maybe not. Okay, no problem at all. Let's leave it how it works. So I'm gonna create a new variable called sorted room sizes. So essentially I'm gonna call that function. And finally, another variable called sorted quantities, which is going to be pretty much the same with quantities, right? So I was thinking something, Elena. What if we, because quantities at the moment look something like that, 1 for 3. What if we could do that later on, doesn't really matter. Exactly. What if we multiply it by 400? So then the maths become a bit simpler later on, right?
Yeah.
So how would you check, Elena, that every single number in the quantities array is at least as large as every single number in the same index on the sizes array? Well, on the sorted equivalents, of course. How would you do that?
I think we could use for each, like
for each.
Yes.
Okay.
So get, for example.
Go on.
For example, get the sorted room sizes array, and then do for each.
Yep.
And then room size, room size.
Yep. room size, fair enough.
That would be for the first element of the room size array. And then we will do if, we also had to put index. So we want to iterate with both of them at the same time.
Yep.
So we had to put them between parentheses, both of them. Room
Correct,
size
because
and index.
we have, if we have more than one argument, we need to surround them with parentheses. Okay, fair enough. What else?
And now we will get the sorted quantities square brackets index.
Sorted quantities square bracket index.
Divided by room size.
Divided by room size. Yeah. I think we're making it. I think there is a simpler way to do that. Elena, I'll give you a hint.
Yeah,
I'll give you a hint. Look, so yeah, definitely we can solve the using for each. So we could create a flag, a boolean, set by default it's true. As soon as one of the conditions is not satisfied, we revert it to false. So definitely we could solve the problem using for each. However, let me experiment with something a bit different, which is the every method. Do you remember every method?
Yeah.
So we could do, I want to check that, so for every room, and then I got the room size and the index, as you said, so nothing, the structure is the same. So I want to check that for every room, the amount of paint I got in that particular index is greater or equal than that room size, something like that.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think so.
Should we test it? See what happened. Oh God, we did something wrong. Look, the problem here is, as you can see here, we got the sort method, but the sort method is not returning anything, right? So what's the value of sorted room sizes? It's just undefined because the method is not returning anything, right? So obviously there are different ways we can solve the problem. So one of them will be to do something like that. So we could encapsulate our methods. We can talk about readability in a minute. Yeah. So now we can rename it to sorted room sizes and to sorted quantities. Yep. And then hopefully that will work. Let's test it again.
Sorry, but we are still.
Sorry.
Not returning, no?
So exactly. So sorry. We are actually sorry. We are not returning anything again. So actually, sorry about that because I did nothing. All right. That's what happened with live coding, right? So that's fine. Let's go back to the previous approach. So what I'm going to do is for readability purposes, yeah. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to sort the arrays. But and we can talk about potential capits of this algorithm, but I want to get the confetti, and then we'll improve it, right? So we got room sizes. So I will sort the arrays, and that means that we create a single variable like that, yeah, because sort will mutate the arrays. We'll see if that's a good idea or not, but technically speaking, that may work. Oh God, a tough question, yeah? Okay, let's run it. Okay, at least it works, right? So, when we get it right now, we can definitely improve it. So even though it works, I'm not particularly happy about this algorithm. The main reason is the sort function is impure. Why? Because it receives an input but it has some side effects. It's mutating the data that it receives. That doesn't play well with the basic principles of functional programming or modern functional programming, where all the functions should remain pure without any side effects. But I think we can easily solve the problem by, for instance, what we can do is we can create, for instance, I'm not necessarily saying that's the most efficient way of solving the problem, but we can create a copy of the array because we are playing with an array of numbers. That's fine. Then we can sort the copy, and eventually we can return the sorted copy. Yeah. So if we do that, then we can create some new variables here for the room sizes, but also for the quantities. Yeah. And of course, we need to rename these references. So hopefully now, oh, that's obviously wrong, right? So hopefully now the code will be a bit more elegant because all the functions we are dealing with remain pure. They have no side effects at all. What do you think, Elena?
Yeah, I think it should work now.
Okay.
It was working before as well, but without breaking without updating the array.
That's right. So let's test it. Still works, right? Still works. So yeah, I think that's a slightly better way to solve the problem. Can we simplify this? Do we need to explicitly return something here, Elena? Can you think about a way to simplify this expression a bit?
Yeah, we can remove the curly braces.
Yep.
And the return.
Mm-hmm.
And then also we need to remove the semicolon.
Mm-hmm.
And we could leave it in a line, but maybe it's a bit long. Now we need to put the parentheses.
The parentheses here. They are not strictly speaking necessary, but I think it helps on readability, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Let's see if it works. Brilliant. Finally, we got it. Nice. Anything else, Elena?
No.
No? What if we do something different? So we do a bit of Vue. We've got 20 minutes left. So yeah. All right. So let's do something a bit different, right? I think we're both sweating a bit. So let's leave it here. And again, sorry before I spoil the partial results. Let's do a bit of Vue. So again, Vue, very popular UI library. Version 3 of Vue has been released recently. So yeah, it's a very nice library working on top of React. And interestingly enough, if you are a React developer, FYI, all the questions we have on the platform about React have been translated to Vue. So you can solve a particular game in React, and then you can solve exactly the same one on Vue. So that will give you a good idea about what are the similarities and the differences between these two. All right. So yeah, I mean, I'm not a Vue developer. I'm not an expert working with Vue, so I may struggle a bit, but that's fine, right? That's why we are working together to figure out how to solve problems together. Thankfully, the first question seems quite easy. So we have what we have here. So we have got we have to create an input field of type text. And then the input field is expected to have some properties like the value and the placeholder. Okay, that was free sugar because there isn't much to do with Vue here. So we just need to probably display an input field typed text, and then with a value. Value is going to be my first input. And then let's break it down in different lines for readability purposes. And finally, we got the placeholder, which is the text that you get in the input before you type anything on it. So this text is visible when input is blank. Any thoughts, Elena?
I don't know much about you, but I think it's fine.
I think one of the beautiful things about Vue is even if you don't know how to solve something, it's quite predictable. It's very predictable. You may fail, you will easily fail, but once you find out how to do it correctly, it's easy to remember for the next time. So I particularly like working with Vue personally. Let's see if it works. Yeah, see it works. Nothing particularly complicated. So yeah, let's submit it. Let's do something a bit more different. Nice. So that's a bit more different because here we have to deal with props. Yeah, in React we have props, right, to customize the behavior of a component. So here we got something quite similar. So according to this exercise, we have to create a few UI elements. First of all, an element with class first name, another element with class last name, and then we have to set some values dynamically. So we're passing some props to this component. All right. So first of all, I believe in Vue, we have to set up a root element, which also applies to React. I don't think we can use fragments, even though I could be wrong here. So then let's set up a div with class first name. And then the expression here is first name. Interestingly enough, Vue uses double curly braces. So we need to get used to the syntax. So that coding style was introduced by AngularJS back in 2011, and Vue inherited it. One of the things that Vue did really well, under my point of view, is to incorporate aspects of other languages, other libraries and frameworks that work really well. So they didn't try to reinvent the wheel. If Angular did something really well, Vue actually incorporated that feature. If React did something really well, Vue incorporated as well. So for instance, in Vue 3, you get native support for JSX, which is the templating language used by React, which is quite cool. Okay, so we got the first name, and then we got the last name. Last name. There is something else we need to do here. So with Vue, we have to declare the properties that we want to use as part of our component. If I remember correctly, the way it works is we can pass an array of props. So this is going to be first name and last name, if I'm right. I may easily fail here, but do you have any thoughts, Elena?
I think it's okay. I don't know. Do we need a semicolon after the square bracket or no? Like after the props?
Here, don't think so, because at the end of the day, that's an object.
Okay.
So we could pass a comma.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. Cool, let's test it. Nice, it worked. Nice, good stuff. All right, any thoughts, any final thoughts, Elena?
No, it's quite similar to React.
Yeah, you see, you just need to get used to the different kind of signature, but it's very similar, which is great, right?
Yeah.
Okay, question number 3. What we got here? We have a text area, fine. And the text area, it receives, again, a couple of props, value and placeholder. So we need to bind them. So we have a text area where we are going to set up the default value and the default placeholder on each use case scenario. Fair enough. So let's create the text area component. And now that's interesting because let's pay attention to the way Vue likes to bind data with the UI component. So we got the value and we got the placeholder. That's pretty much what we did on the first question here. The thing is, the value, it comes from props. So before I forget, same thing we did before, right? We got props with value and then placeholder. So my first attempt will be doing something like that. However, that's not going to work. That's not going to work because this is going to hard code value and placeholder. And we want to bind with the resulting value. We don't want to display value into the input text. So we need to transform it. Someone may be thinking, can we do something like that? I don't think that's correct neither. The way this works in Vue is by, I think there are a couple of ways to do that. One of them, I'm pretty sure, is by adding a colon before the attribute. So when you add a colon, what you say is, I don't want to display the word value, V-A-L-U-E. I don't want to do that. I want to associate to that input field whatever the value variable is. So in the first use case scenario, the value will be over 300 languages, blah, blah, blah. In the second use case scenario, that will be the value, and so on. So I think that's the way you can bind with data properties into the user interface. Any thoughts, Elena?
No.
Let's see if
Is
it
that
works.
because, sorry,
Yeah,
is that
go
because
on,
it's because it's the way to bind attributes in the tag?
Yeah.
For the attribute. Okay.
Yeah, of course. We want to bind with some attributes or properties. That's why we need to do that. If we don't do that, that's not going to work. You see? Because here, rather than displaying over 300 languages, we're displaying that the value is value, V-A-L-U-E, right? We want to interpolate, we want to transform it into whatever the associated variable is. All right, so yeah, that works. So hopefully we can do one more here. So, all right, I got an idea, Elena, because we've got 10 minutes left. Do you want to do one question on the intermediate of Vue?
Okay. Okay.
It's gonna be even more complicated, right?
Yeah.
So, all right, 10 minutes left. Let's do one more question. Sorry for spoiling the results once again. Well, actually, look, no one has played the Vue intermediate, so we're gonna play one question here, and then we will present the results. Nice. So in this particular question, look, we start talking about the state. Yeah? In React, you got state, and of course in Vue, you got state as well. So as far as you know, in Vue, state is referred as data, but that's pretty much the same idea behind. So here what we got is, we got the component with one state property called message, and that state property is associated to the user interface. So in other words, we want to display something like that. Another question is, how do we initialize the state in React? The way we do that is, again, this is an object, so we can declare a property called data. And data is a function returning the default state. So here I can set a message, and now whatever the state is, something like that, which is quite simple, right? So that will be the equivalent to setting up the state in a stateful component in React, or the way to initialize a hook if we are using a stateless approach. So yeah, I think that should be pretty much it. Let's see if it works, by the way. There you go, it works. Any thoughts, Elena?
It's always called data. That's
I think
always,
so. I think as far as I know, yeah. Obviously, if I call it something else, that's not, I don't think that's gonna, no, that's for sure, as you can see, that's not gonna work. So there are some reserved keywords. One of them is data, one of them is components, another one is methods, where you can set up some component methods. So yeah, there are a few keywords here, right? Yeah, so I think that's pretty much it. We still got 8 minutes, so hopefully time for the very last intermediate question. Nice, that's a way more complicated one. So that's interesting, right? So let's talk about music, 90s music. We got Spice Girls versus Backstreet Boys. So do you have any favorite, Elena, in the 90s?
Spice Girls.
Spice Girls. All right, so we got the tape. On side A, we got Spice Girls. On side B, we got Backstreet Boys. So we're going to find a way to switch from one side to the other. We can see that our component relies on some external components. So you see, you got the side A component. The way it works is, this is essentially an object where we can set up the name of the component and then the template, which is the markup, the UI. So I'm going to do something. I'm going to copy and paste that, side A and side B, Spice Girls, and then here you got Backstreet Boys. You can see, Elena, that our exported object has a property called components, where you tell Vue, hey, I'm gonna use, or I may use these components at some point. All right, so now what we want to first of all display a button somewhere. So let's put the button in place. Button, I don't think we need to specify any text on it. So let me call it, I don't know, switch tape side, whatever. And then I will either display this side A or side B. So we need to have some sort of if-else or ternary operator. I think Vue is great, and under my point of view, for this particular kind of problems, it's even better than React because it's very declarative. Again, Vue inherited this coding style from Angular, and I think it's very expressive and it's just beautiful. So the way it works is I got side A, and now look what can we do. We can do v-if equals side equal A. We'll see what side is in a minute. So we got side A, and then we got side B that will be displayed if side is B, right? So side is a variable that we should initialize into the state. Do you remember, Elena, how to set up state variables in Vue?
Data.
That's correct. Data, which is a function that returns an object. So what should be the default value of, what should be the default state here?
It will be side A.
That's correct. By default, we display side A. Yeah, I like that. Fantastic. What do you think? Is this going to work?
I don't know. I don't know.
So
but we need to change it, no?
That's the point, right? That's not going to work, because what happens if we click on the button?
Nothing.
Nothing. So we need to associate a handler, a callback. Mm-hmm. So in React, you do onClick equals whatever. Yeah. Here, the syntax is very similar. However, we need to pass a at prefix. So if I'm right, when you want to set associate to a state or a props variable, you put the column. When you want to deal with callbacks, with callback functions, you put an at. Yeah, that's just the syntax on Vue. All right. So now what? So now here, whenever I click on the button, I want to call a function called switch side. Yep. And now the only missing bit is, what do we do with switch side? Well, we need to pass a new property here called methods, which is an object. So on the methods object, we can declare functions. So whenever I click on the button, this function will be executed. So here I can change the state. The way we access the state is using this dot side. That will return A. So can you tell me, Elena, how can you check if the state, if the side is A, then change it to B, or vice versa?
With the ternary operator.
Fair enough. So how can we do that?
So this dot side equal A.
Mm-hmm.
And then question mark.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll say B.
Mm-hmm.
And otherwise colon A.
All right, that's interesting. The strategy is definitely correct, but the problem is you got the expression, the ternary, but you are not assigning the result to anything, right?
Yeah.
So what you're missing here is something like that. Yeah. So then whenever you click on the button, you want to change the side. So what's going to be the new side? Well, it depends. If the current side was A, then the new one will be B. And otherwise, if the current side was B, the new one will be A. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
All right, so we test it. See what happened. Something is wrong. Okay. Line number 3, expected to be enclosed by double quotes. Of course, right. So that's from the React world, right? I did that for testing purposes. No, that's not the way it works. We cannot use single quotes, of course. We need to do it like that. Yeah. So when we click on the button, we call the switch side method. So let's test it again. Still doesn't work. Interesting. Why is that not working? Side B, Backstreet Boys.
Is it something in the button? No, because the button is highlighted in white. It's like different color in the code.
Yeah. I get your point, but I think that unfortunately this is just because the way the code editor works. Okay. I don't think that's wrong. However, again, I did a basic mistake because I am a React developer, and I tend to do things in a React way, right? On click doesn't work in Vue. That's not the way it works. On click, especially with the capital C, that's a React thingy. That doesn't work in React in Vue. Sorry, the way it works in Vue is click.
Okay.
Yeah, so again, subtle differences. We need to train our brain to deal with these differences. There you go. Finally, we got confetti time, right? Cool. You see, Elena, once you get used to it, once you get used to the differences, it's not that difficult to learn Vue, right?
No, that's practice, I guess.
Yeah, it's practice, exactly. All right, I think we've done enough coding today, right? So let's have a look to the results. Hey, yo, how was it? Good to see you back. I think you are frozen, but here you go, you're back. No, we cannot hear you. That's fine. That's fine. All right. Well, maybe you are mute. I don't know. Don't worry, Joe. We'll have a look to the results. All right. So I'm gonna do something.
I'm back now.
Finally.
It was good. I don't think I've done very well on the JavaScript challenge, but I did have a go on the Vue one, and I think I've done a little bit better on the Vue challenge.
Really? Nice.
It doesn't show me my score, so I'm not too sure. I'll be happy if I'm not bottom.
No worries. We'll see the results in a minute, Joe. So no pressure at all. All right. So let's start. Let's start with JavaScript. So here, what you can see is this is what we call the players performance pentagon. So here you can see the result of inlining every player's performance. So based on that, I would like to analyze the results. So what I'm going to do is, if you want, you could check the individual results. So this will become public in a few minutes. However, because this was a team activity, so I would like to have a look to the results by teams. Sharknado lovers versus Shark Exorcist lovers. Have you watched any of these, Joe?
No, I have actually. I've seen the Exorcist. I've not seen Sharknado though.
Oh, cool. All right. Nice. So let's see how it went. So you see on the left hand side, Sharknado lovers, one Imperial Majesty. On the right hand side, Shark Exorcist lover, another Imperial Majesty. So that's the title that we give to every player depending on their performance over the last few challenges. So now what we're going to see is what's the average score of this Sharknado lovers team. Let's have a look. It's 84 points. So yeah, that's quite cool actually. You can see, Joe, you finished 4th. So that's quite good actually. Yeah, 84 points. And now the question is,
that's not bad. I'll take that.
Yeah, that's good. That was brilliant. Well done, mate. Now, what about the Sark Exorcist Lover? Is it going to be above 84.6 or below? Let's have a look. Oh, look at that, 91. 91. So yeah, that was a really good challenge. Actually, it's fair to say that we got historical players here like Bavik or Irene that are obviously very strong dealing with JavaScript. So it's 0-1 for Sark Exorcist. By the way, as I said before, you can now check the results by yourself. You can check the individual results. Also, something you can do is you can compare the code. So if you didn't know how to solve any of the questions, or even if you knew how to deal with that, but you want to explore different coding styles, so you can compare your code against your colleagues. So you can do that by yourself later on. And yeah, so that was about JavaScript lower intermediate. What about the next level? So this is JavaScript upper beginner. I'm not sure if I said intermediate. No, sorry, it was before lower beginner. Now this is upper beginner. So let's have a look to the results. Team results. Oh, nice. No players on the Sharknado team. So there is a white flag straight away. And that means that, look at that, it's going to be 2-0 for Sark Exorcist Lover. Again, Bavik leading the pack, 98 points, almost perfect challenge for him. Cool. Wow. And then the last one on the JavaScript side, which is the upper intermediate. So that was obviously a more complicated challenge. Let's have a look to the team results. Again, no players on the Sharknado team. And then, interestingly enough, two of the strongest players on the platform side by side. So this is going to be Irene versus Bavik, Bavik versus Irene. It's going to be a tough battle. Let's see who is the winner here. Oh, look at that. Bavik got it. 98.8 points, wow. Right? Obviously, he's a senior developer, right? He knows how to code, but yeah. This is very impressive. Well done, Bavik. I know you're hearing us somewhere, so I'm looking forward to see you soon. What about Vue? Again, very first experience with Vue. So this is, first of all, lower beginner quiz game. So let's have a look to the team results. So check ranks, check team results. Nice. So we've got 4 players. Interestingly enough, you both, Elena and Joe, participating as Sharknado lovers. So let's see how well you play as a team. So Sharknado lovers team, you got 82. Well done. You see, nice one, Joe. You end up second. Well done. That's really solid. Nice. And then on the right-hand side, that didn't work out really well for the Sark Exorcist team. So this is 3-1 for the Exorcists. And finally, we got the, that's going to be quick, right? So we have the upper beginner on Vue. So let's have a look to the team results. Actually, a single player getting scores here. So that's pretty much it. So long story short, the majority of the players here today participated in the JavaScript side. But I think it's interesting to see that, you know, Vue is there, that is getting trendy, it's getting important. Joe, not sure because you work with many developers, not sure the feedback you get about Vue, if you think this is something that is getting there. What are your thoughts about it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, from a sort of client's point of view or a hiring company's point of view, Vue is, I think React is still the sort of front runner and the most popular at the moment, I think. But Vue is definitely getting more talked about more, and speaking to developers as well on a daily basis. It's something that they're interested in as well in terms of getting into. And it seems like, I think you mentioned it over the past hour or so, the benefits of Vue to React. I'm sure there's benefits the other way as well, but yeah, it's definitely it's getting spoken about more within the industry for sure.
Nice. And what about Angular, Yo? What do you see Angular in this battle?
Well, funnily enough, we've done an event called Battle of the Frameworks, where we had a React developer, a Vue developer, and an Angular developer basically fighting the corner for each for each framework, and I appreciate that. Yeah, so it was quite interesting actually, and even the guy who was speaking for Angular said that it's a bit of a dying breed, but yeah, I mean it's still there, especially on a lot of sort of legacy platforms for a lot of large companies that don't necessarily have the resources to transfer their code base to a newer language. But yeah, I think Angular may be. I think it's definitely at the back at the moment.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. Interesting. Cool, awesome. Thank you very much, Joe. It was great to see you here today. Elena, of course, thank you for participating. You want to share any final words, Elena?
No, thank you for the opportunity again, and it's been great. I want to play more with you.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well.
Cheers, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, and see you soon.
See you.
Cheers, guys.